What's going on, Pokemon Go trainers? Welcome to episode 65 of Lured Up, the podcast where we take Pokemon Go way more seriously than we do ourselves. Today is Sunday, February 10th, 2019. I'm your host, Ken Pescator, joined by my co-hosts Adam Tuttle and Melissa Pescator, and we have a very special guest today, and we're very excited to welcome Reversal to the show. Reversal, what is going on, man? How are you? Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate that. I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Little sick, so if my voice is not really cooperating that greatly, I do apologize. But
no worries.
Thank you so
It's
much for
okay.
having
You
me.
sound fine.
Cool. I was so congested this morning. I was like, bro, I'm heavily medicated right now. Like every which way you look, I have drugs surrounding me.
It was really funny because earlier this week, Adam wasn't feeling well, and Ken was busting his chops about, you better get better, and then
nothing was going to stop me from recording
karma,
tonight.
right there.
I can't miss it.
Yeah, honestly, like right now, the way that I feel is like I'm in a permanent state of hangoverism, where my voice is just constantly like giving out. So
Pedialyte, you gotta
like
just
later
drink
down the road, it gets a
Pedialyte.
little bit worse. But I do got like my water bottle and my tea with honey infused to keep me afloat.
There you go.
There you
Oh
go.
man, I know. I can imagine with all the international travel and like the abuse of jet lag and time zones and all that. That's got to be like hell on your body.
Well, I think the worst part of it is that you go from one climate to another. So over here it was freezing where I live. And then suddenly it's like nice weather. You go back to the freezing point. You get out of the plane. You notice this intensely cold breeze coming down your neck. And you have had your mouth open in the plane for the past 5 hours as well. Really doesn't, go over that well. But, I'm hanging in there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sticking it out and grinning and bearing and coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, a little bit of housekeeping real quick. This podcast is powered by Patreon. Please check ours out over at patreon.com/gottawatchemall, where you can support this show for as little as $1 a month. And that $1 will get you access to our patron exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people.
It sure is.
I want to give a huge shout out to our show supporter tier patrons, Brittany, Jay, Jessica, Keith, Matt, M. Pitts, Terry, David, Chris, Sydney, and Bacon L. Thank you guys so very much. We appreciate your support week in and week out. It means the world to us. Oh, and I want to give a huge shout out to our newest patron at the Discord level, J-Throw. Thank you so much. Yo, she jumped right into the Discord, no fear.
Yes, she
and
did.
It was great. It was so
very
funny.
You are very welcomed into our lives.
We have an active Discord, and there's a bunch of freaks in there. And it's absolutely hilarious.
That's the best
and there's
way to
no other way to put it, that they're just complete,
there's
absolutely
something
off the
wrong with
wall
us.
people. And dude,
But we love them.
We had a conversation at like 2 a.m. the other day. It lasted like 60 minutes, and we're just going back and forth. I think we posted like 100 memes. Like it just kept getting more inappropriate like every minute. I was rolling. I was pissing my pants. It was so much fun. All right, on today's show, we're going to get to know Reversal. We're going to get caught up with everything that's going on in his world. We're going to catch up on the onslaught of events that happened since the last time we recorded. This is the Lunar New Year event, the Shiny Meltan event, the Friendship mini event that's going on. By the time this podcast comes out, some of this stuff is already going to be wrapping up or just had wrapped up. And then a big tease across social media with Niantic. Could Smeargle be coming to the game? Smeargle, my precious. And then, yes, I know I'll always refer to him as my precious. And we're also going to break into fairy Pokemon in PvP. I think it's important. Remember, we covered dragons last week, of learning the different metas based on type. Because once you have a better understanding of the type in PvP, you're going to have an exceptional advantage over people that are just kind of trying to put parties together on the fly. And it's like, yep, I know exactly who I need to use from the fairy pool.
Geez, stop talking about me.
Bro, I'm telling you, don't sleep on the fairies, bro. When Ralt's Community Day comes around and we finally get a fucking fairy fast move, fairy is going to be, you're going to finally have some use for offensive Pokemon in the fairy world. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
We're so due for that.
Oh, dude,
Definitely.
it's like
I really thought it was a missed opportunity. Like they chose Swinub, and they should have chose Routes because they would have given us Gallade, and it's a male and female falling into like the February Valentine's. Like I don't know. That's just how I felt.
Well, Swinub.
Hey man, we've been wanting Ralts forever. Oh yeah, Melissa feels great about Swinub. She hates it.
I hate it. So stupid.
But all right, Reversal, let's get caught up on you, man. I want to, like, you were such an inspiration for so many trainers, outside of the fact that you make great video content, but just the fact of how much XP you have, how much XP, where are you at right now?
Oh, snap. I should have seen that one coming. I actually need to start up my game real quick. It's one of those things that I'm actually like semi-retired as far as the XP grind concerned, because it's just hard to combine XP grinding along with YouTube. So 184 million right now.
It's so awesome.
Wow.
That is so awesome, dude. And it's like, you know, we finally have like some double XP events going on right now. And I know that that's like a lot of people are playing catch up because we've been waiting for like a double XP for evolution grinds. Cause like, and you're starting to see a lot of that old grind behavior come back during these current events because people are taking advantage of it.
True. It's great. It's kind of funny though. I actually have so many, since the last event, I think double XP for evolutions. It's like a year almost.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time.
Just been saving up candy in hopes it would be coming back, and it just wasn't coming back. And now that it's here, you know, your boy's sick. So like, luckily though, I did have a storage of 2,000 Pokemon in there. So the first day I spent 8 hours evolving everything, or 7.5. Wow. Got like 2 million experience, and then I was like, well, I still need the bodies in order to evolve the Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still going for a little bit.
That's a good grind,
Hey,
though.
man, I could have a 5,000 storage of Pokemon because I will keep every freaking Pidgey until this event, until they do a double XP Evolve event.
Yes.
Because, like, I grinded so hard in the very beginning. That was, like, my main source of XP income was doing mass evolutions. I would do them
when you did
every freaking couple days. I was just... gotta do another XP party, another evolution party. It was not fun, but that was the grind back in the day. But
see, I just save everything.
Let me break into this, man. What's your history with Pokemon? Like, were you into Pokemon prior to Go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Go is kind of like sort of rekindled my love for the Pokemon franchise as a whole. I mean, I was a Gen 1 kid growing up,
right?
So. Like, my parents, we were pretty poor, right? So I had to, like, save up for things. So I literally saw my classmates, my friends, play Pokemon Red and Blue for about 2 or 3 months. And then finally I got this glorious blue cartridge of Pokemon Blue.
Yes, you're a blue savior, just like I am. Yes.
Played nonstop. And I played until, I would say, Gen 3, I would say. So Stadium... Pokemon Snap's my favorite game.
Yes.
For Pokemon.
Yes.
And still, to this day, I feel Nintendo's really missing the boat. Like, with the Wii U, I think they should have released the Snap too. But now with the Switch, I don't see why they shouldn't, but, you know.
Oh,
yeah, no, that's a good point.
Melissa and I were both huge fans of the 64. We were, we played the 64 like freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I know you're a Smash fan, but Melissa and I have a long history with Smash. And when it first came out on the 64, that was our game of choice. And I mean, we played the fucking hell out of that game, day in and day out, like relentless, like with big groups. Like we were religious with that game. But yeah, Snap and Pokemon, the mini games in Pokemon Stadium, man, that's some of the best times I remember. Some of the fondest memories I have of Pokemon are playing those mini games. That sushi mini game with Lickitung.
No, I like the Kakuna and the Metapod Harden.
Yes, that was
probably my
hard,
favorite.
man.
Yeah, definitely.
It was maximum hardness.
It was maximum hardness.
I think the hardest one was the Sandshrew, where you had to like to tap the L and the R button, and you had to dig your way through.
Oh my god, yes, that was the hardest one. Because you're like, I swear I'm pushing these buttons, but he's not moving.
Yes, exactly.
Yo, we gotta get those on again.
If they came out with a new Pokemon Snap,
they need to come up with a new Stadium.
Awesome.
They need to come up with a new Pokemon just mini games like Stadium.
Yeah,
like a Mario Party style game, but with Pokemon.
That'd be awesome. I'm in. Take my money, please.
Yes.
So you had a history with Pokemon. You kind of follow the same timeline that I did. So Melissa and I we're high school sweethearts. We're old fogies. We were like 20, 21 when Pokemon first came out in the States. So we were Gen 1ers for sure, and we kind of played very, very hard for the first couple generations, and we were TCG players. So we came from that side of the fence.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
We kind of fell off. I was always a collector. I worked for a GameStop company for years and years and years, so I was involved in the video game industry from the retail side. So I was there through all the releases of the games, for all the following generations. And when Go came out, it was the same thing. I fell head over heels back into it, started up the brand and all that stuff, and it was on from there. But I think what you're doing with Let's Go right now is freaking awesome, and the fact that this kind of resurgence of Pokemon content, video content on YouTube was kind of came out of the Pokemon Go YouTuber world is absolutely amazing. I thought it was the coolest transition how a lot of the YouTubers in that scene, the Pokemon Go scene, were able to like pivot so seamlessly. Right over to Let's Go. And I think what you're doing and the way you laid out your intro series and now the Shiny series and everything, I think you're doing an awesome job, dude. So kudos to you. Bravo.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bravo for,
Thank
for
you so
actually
much.
making that happen, dude, because I was super impressed and I was like, dude, this is like, it's like you've been streaming this game exclusively. It was really cool. It was really cool to see. So kudos on that. What are your goals as a tuber right now? Like, where do you see your future as far as Go versus Let's Go? I mean, is it a completely different dynamic to make content for either game?
It's kind of like a natural progression, because they're so similar and they got like a lot of things in common. It is much easier, and I think that's the reason why a lot of content creators for Pokemon Go jump on board as well. It's really easy to create content for Pokemon Let's Go because, the throwing mechanic is the same. You got your nice, excellent, great. The catching feels the same. It's not that much of a different thing, but it's still kind of a jump. You have a Nintendo Switch, and then you have Pokemon Go, which is a free game. Like a Switch, obviously, is a threshold that people need to breach in order to get to play that game. So they sort of like play that game through us, and now it's gotten to the point after I started my Let's Play that it's become part of the channel. And it also makes it that, that now people know that there could be something else than just Pokemon Go. Because, well, let's face it, every game has a lifespan and is bound at one point to die out. And with Pokemon Go, I don't think that's anytime soon, but there is going to be that point eventually. So for a content creator, the scariest thing is just that your channel dies off and you become completely irrelevant. Like, that's the most scary thing, because you built this thing from the ground up. You spend so much time and effort and energy into that, and then for that to fade away, that really, it's part of your heart just, dies off, So
Sure.
I think it's a great,
absolutely.
it's a great bridge to other things. That's what I feel. So coming back to the question, the goals as a content creator, I feel just, diversify a little bit. There's another bridge that's going to be built later this year with Wizards Unite, another game by Niantic, and that's basically like Pokemon Go, but then Harry Potter, which I'm pretty big on as well. Oh, absolutely! It's kind of silly to say this, but I was more resonating myself as a kid with Harry Potter than with Pokemon, because Daniel Radcliffe, the actor who played Harry Potter, his birthday in real life is one day before or after mine. So as a kid, you put a lot of value into that stuff,
You do.
So
it's like
Me and Harry
you're
Potter
connected.
have the same
Yeah, it
birthday
is.
within
It's
24 hours. This is important shit right here.
it's so stupid, but it's just kind of like, as a kid, you take pride into that stuff.
No,
You hear it here
that's really
first,
cool. No,
people.
I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Same.
I think it's going to do fantastic.
I think if
Better
there's an
than
opportunity
Ghostbusters.
to see fail videos of people throwing their phones as a wand, I'm all in. I want to
They're
see
gonna
that's
have,
the
they're
shit
gonna
I
have an
want to see.
attachment, just like a Pokeball Plus. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it'll be like a Wiimote, something like that. But that's really cool, man. It's best of luck with expanding the channel, and I can imagine that when you have a channel that's built around one game, I mean, that's a significant amount of pressure on someone else's shoulders. Hey, I hope your game survives because I depend on it. So
It's
Are
awful.
you going to be? Yeah.
It's an awful
Are you going to be
feeling,
going
man.
into the new Gen 8 game when it comes out, the full main series?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so
stream the
that's
shit out of
awesome.
that.
So hell yeah.
That's more content,
I mean, you're gonna have the roadmap on that, and then if you start getting into like if they do like new Pokemon Global Link stuff and that whole realm of online competition and getting into VGC stuff, I mean, there's literally a limitless bounty of potential content in that world. And I can't wait to see. There's a lot of people that have been doing it for a long time, but I'm excited to see fresh perspectives on creating that kind of content coming out of the Pokemon Go world, because the Pokemon Go YouTube world has taken this awesome turn of high quality production, high quality cinematics. I watch tons of YouTube videos that cover games, and there isn't that dynamic cinematography element like there is with Pokemon Go videos. It's just a natural part of it now, and I fucking love that about it. That's the coolest thing. So other games like Wizards Unite that are going to get people outside for the same thing, and the new Pokemon, main series game on the Switch, I can't wait to see how the perspective of a Go tuber that has that kind of zeitgeist of style of creating videos can apply to a main series game. And what's been going on with Let's Go is awesome enough, but I can't wait for fucking Gen 8. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, to see brand new Pokemon in the way it was designed for Pokemon Let's Go. I mean, it cannot come soon enough, because the sprites and just the way the Pokemon look in Let's Go is just, it's never been better than it has been.
No, seeing the Pokemon walk around in the overworld is a game changer. Like that, you feel so immersed.
Yeah, when you jump on Snorlax's belly to walk around, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, I definitely want to pick your brain about Pokemon Go Travel. How great was it to be part of that campaign, and like how was that? Was that like an absolute like whirlwind of activity?
Oh, yeah. After that was done, I needed a break. That was one thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, people think, it's just a video. No, it was every single event, all the event days was just full production from start to finish. And the things that really wear you out are the moments where you're just waiting. You're just waiting for the next move to the location, or, waiting for the others to shoot. Like, so for example, like sometimes they would take Nick and Brandon Mystic 7 away for a separate shoot of them together, but then it would be me and Daniel Spielesrand that would be. So we were like constantly like alternating and waiting and then moving locations. So it was like one of the best experiences of my life. But it also was like, at first it's like, oh, you're gonna get a whole production crew shooting. It's like, okay, that's gonna be cool, but never in my life would I have thought it would be like a actually film set kind of situation and done so professionally. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, because you're so used to the vlog. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the only one that was really like known with that type of shooting was Brandon Mystic 7. Because he was part of this Yu-Gi-Oh commercial that's been played all over YouTube for a long time. So he knew kind of what was coming, and he was like, there's a lot of things that's going to be happening, so be ready for that.
Yeah, I saw some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that Nick did, and it was wild seeing the level of production and how many handlers and set people, and it was just wild. It was cool to see all the moving pieces that were behind that production, but
it was kind of uncomfortable in a way as well, because you were literally a superstar there. And the way that I mean that is literally like you would look at the assistant and they'll be like, oh, what can I do for you? It's like, can I have a bottle of water? Boom, you have it in 2 seconds. Like, it was crazy.
That's gotta be surreal.
Honestly.
That's gotta be like a mind fuck, honestly, to be thrown from like regular life into something like that. It's just like, for me, being someone who's like, believe it or not, has a little bit of social anxiety, would probably freak the fuck out, like having that many people try to pay attention to me at one time.
Yeah, it's like you go from a level where you're just a goofball with a camera to this like very important VIP person that is like key to this production. And you're like, as a person, as a human being, I don't give myself that much value. Like, I don't see myself as that A-list Hollywood celebrity type person who deserves this kind of treatment. And to get that is really kind of weird. So I think the hardest part of it all is trying not to get used to that kind of lifestyle, because like when you're back home again, you're by yourself,
Yeah, but shit, man, if you have the opportunity, soak that shit up and be like, another water, please.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Does anybody want to buy me anything?
But it's got to be overwhelming.
I need red M&Ms only now.
Oh God, no!
I'm partial to the yellow as well.
This one day though, I was like sweating. I was sweating my arms off, and I was just like, I need some deodorant. I didn't bring any. I didn't want it was gonna be that hot. 5 minutes later, they bring me 5 cans of different types of deodorant.
Are you kidding?
I can literally. I'm serious. I can literally pick which deodorant I want. It's like, do you want this female one? Do you want this manly one, or this natural one? It's like, I don't fucking know.
I would have been like, give me these 2. Actually, I'm gonna take both of these.
Yeah.
This one for the left and this
so
one for the
funny.
right armpit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 2 different experiences depending on what side of me you're standing on. Oh shit! No, that's awesome, man. And hey, man, we all bust our asses, and it's always nice to get credit where credit is due, man. So soak that shit in, even if it's temporary, and as long as your mindset is in line with it being a temporary thing, man. Fuck that, soak it up, man. You deserve it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, we did. We were like, yes. That was great.
Another interesting thing, and it kind of plays into the travel and how this was like an international campaign, international event, with the fact that a lot of the tubers that I watch, when, I watch all the biggies, I'm going to watch Nick, I'm going to watch Holly, I'm going to watch Brandon. They're all, from the States, they're all American tubers. Now, a lot of people, the crossover between their viewership and your viewership is the same. So you're kind of in this group. Now, did you ever have this focused moment where you said, I'm going to kind of market myself to the American YouTube market? Or was it kind of just a natural thing where you made content and the trainers in the US kind of latched onto it?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because I was doing YouTube before Pokemon Go, right? I already was an established YouTuber in the mobile space prior to Pokemon Go. So I went into Pokemon Go with over 100,000 subscribers. And with Pokemon Go, that tripled down. So that was kind of like, I already knew that my audience was in the America. So it was Canada, and it was Latin America was also part of it as well. And then you got Australia, and then some parts of Europe as well. So it's about 60%, I would say, that is US, Canada, Latin America. That is, all of my audience. So it was also always kind of the focus, and I don't think that's going to be, changing anytime soon either.
No, I mean, I think it's cool because especially with when you're vlogging out and about, it is really cool to see different locations because it's not what we're used to. So seeing different architecture, it's like, what? If I was watching any other YouTuber that was walking around the States, the United States, I wouldn't be able to see the architecture that's behind him right now. So I always have an appreciation to watch the international stuff. And so it's very cool. And I think that it's just kind of interesting how you become part of the nomenclature when it comes to the PokeTuber scene in the United States. Like, you're part of that, but you're an international YouTuber. So I always thought that was really cool that you were able to bridge that gap over the pond. Pretty cool.
Thank you. And also to add on to that, with the summer tour squad, we right now, as of I believe like this, we went to San Francisco, just came back. One from the Australia, Zoe too, that you may have heard of her. She's also now part of that entire squad. So alongside with a piece of Europe, you're also going to be getting a piece of Australia added to that as well to like sort of, I guess, add to the flavor, I guess.
Yes, and I guess this would be a perfect segue. So just before the show, I was messaging with Zoe, and she's going to be coming on the show the second week of March.
Yeah.
So nice. So we're really excited to have her on, and she inspired a really good conversation. She made a video where she was in a van, and a lot of the people were multi-accounting, and she kind of put this disclaimer out saying like, "Hey, just want to get ahead of this right now. You're going to see people holding multiple devices. They're not like scrubbing gyms. They're playing for someone that couldn't make it that day. Their intent is good. It's not a situation where they're, running an alt account that, for their, it's still one person, one account that's just playing for someone that can't be here today." So that sparked a really good conversation within our community, in our Discord, on Twitter. And I got some really great feedback, and I'd like to get your take on this if you're down to kind of get, talking to the space. So how do you feel about this at large? So I know that the terms of service, we do our best to kind of be a champion of the terms of service, but without trying to seem like there's a giant stick in our ass, and we understand that there's a difference between what's important, what's written on paper, and what's enforced, and, the intent of the situation. So we had this huge conversation that lasted a couple weeks over a couple different episodes, and what we kind of boiled everything down to is, look, it's a fucking game. We're not talking about doing your taxes or anything like that. Like, this is a game. And so long as the intent of the user is good, right? You're not like going around with multiple accounts and scraping gyms and, just filling them up with your Pokemon to get coins. You're not, screwing people over or spoofing or doing any of the other bullshit. You're just, hey, I got an extra account. I can help, get this raid done. That kind of thing. It was like, all right, if the intent of the user is good, like, does it really fucking matter? Like, do we really care? Like, is it really going to ruin my day, if they're helping in a raid? So that kind of is what it boils down to. So what's your take on this? Like, is there a difference between multi-accounting if the intent of the person doing it is just like, is noble, or does it matter?
No, of course it doesn't matter. No, I'm just messing with you.
I was like, yeah.
No. So I genuinely don't care if people play with several accounts. I personally don't. Myself, Geo, and Reversal, we both don't care. You do you, whatever makes you happy. I feel it gets problematic to the point if people use 3 or even 2 accounts to put themselves in gyms. I don't like it myself. If someone puts their wife in that same gym, if the wife is not there, for example, or their kid or whatever, that's what I believe in. And sure, I know a lot of people who do that. I prefer if that were not to be the case, but you cannot do anything about it. You can make a big massive fuss about it. You cannot put that Pokemon in my fucking gym. At the end of the day, we all just play a game, and everybody plays the game in the way that they find the most fun. That includes spoofers if they are happy doing their thing.
Yeah.
Don't get Melissa started. Oh god.
I genuinely don't support spoofing. I don't condone it in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, you cannot tell people no. You cannot tell people don't do that. Because it doesn't work like that. Who are you to tell the other person don't do that?
That's what Melissa was saying last week. You see someone outside doing some shady shit. You go knock on their door like the fucking Mystic Police. What the fuck are you doing?
Why are you doing that?
Yeah. So I'm not opposed on any of that. But I mean, if there's in some way, shape, or form you getting in the way of other people's experience, that's where it gets problematic. And to me, I feel that people shouldn't put more than 1 Pokemon in a gym. Not even log out of their account and log into another account to put another Pokemon in. I just, I just don't think that's the right thing to do.
I agree, dude.
So yeah, that's kind of my take on that, I guess.
No, I think that's kind of where we all landed. We kind of all felt the same. It really is about the intent, and if you're being an asshole about it, we're gonna call you out, but if it's
you've gotta come to my area and there's so many people in my area, and this is crazy, and it's always mind-blowing to me why so many people make this excuse. They say, I play for my son, and their son's literally 1 year old.
Sleeping in the car.
Bro, come on, be real. You're not playing for your son. You're being a greedy dick. Just admit you're being a greedy dick.
Yeah.
And stop being a greedy dick. Don't take over the fucking gym,
funny.
douche.
But at the same time, are you really gonna call someone out for it and cause drama?
Yes.
Exactly.
Is it worth it?
Exactly.
It depends on who you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
I'd be like, why are you gonna do that? You don't call him out to start a fight. You just guilt him real bad. Just look at him real stupid. Really? You're gonna put that? Really? Really, you're gonna do that? You're not gonna leave it for someone else? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I actually and this is kind of bad maybe of me to say because people are just gonna make a big fuss out of this. I actually do have a secondary account. I don't use it.
Hey, it's okay, Reversal. I do too. It started as my daughter's account. Okay, it did, and then it became she just kind of stopped playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam made the same revelation to us 2 weeks ago, and it's oh my god, I'm the crying Michael Jordan meme.
Adam has been torn into 2 souls. He has no idea. He's I don't know, I love it, but I hate it.
No, it's tough because it's, I just traveled. I literally because I'm in rural areas, so it's I travel to another rural area to hit a raid, and there's supposed to be 7 people that show up, and only 3 of us are there, and it's we can't take out this Groudon without at least 4. So somebody whips up their hotspot, and I'm all right, let's take it,
See, and that's acceptable. That's okay because you're making everybody else's game enjoyable. That is there.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point, right? Like, in my area, like, we had this time whenever the first karaoke was there. I don't know if you guys recall that, but you need like 10 people in order to
Oh
take
my
down
god,
one
no, don't remind me.
with Blizzard. Like, that one was so hard to take down. So at that moment in time, there were like so little people interested to actually do these raids because there was never enough people. And based off that, I made a second account and I told myself a couple of rules. I said, you're not going to be doing any sort of catches. You're not going to go out and put Pokemon in gyms or fight the gyms with another account. I literally had that separate account with a different device, different SIM card, everything. And I would only use that to support with raids. And funny enough, right now that account actually turned level 40 because of all the raids that we did as a support account, which is crazy.
Mine's still not level 40.
Yeah, but literally it has under, the account has under 500 catches being level 40.
Wow.
So I've literally done nothing on that. So in those types of cases, I would say, hey, you know, if you're feeling happy doing that, by all means, I wouldn't even like frown upon that.
No, that's cool, and it's like I've had to come down off my high horse a little bit because I kind of was humbled by the community because I kind of put it out there, you know, kind of waving my TOS flag, like, you know, charge, and like everyone was like, sit the fuck down, bro, it's all good.
Nobody ever wants you to wave the TOS flag. That's never gonna end up well for anybody.
Exactly. Oh man, so it's you know it's funny, like you know, we talked about spoofing briefly, but there was a small window of time where we almost had Jono on the show, and you know,
oh my god,
so dude,
so
I called him out on Instagram, like someone. This was the series of events. So someone in my raid group tagged me at like 2:33 in the morning. I'm like in bed, ready. You know, I got work in like 3 hours. And this is when Lunatone first came around, and it was just so fucking rare. So they tagged me at like 3 in the morning. They're like, hey, Lunatone's at the beach. It was like 25 minutes away. I had no idea if I was going to be able to get there in time. I was like, you know what? I'm fucking going. Got dressed, drove out there, caught my Lunatone for the decks. It was awesome. And you know, I felt so inspired. I made this video on Instagram, and I was like, Jono, you fucking asshole. You know, like, I know you would have just spoofed to this, you know, but that it's just so against the spirit of the game. And, you know, I just called him out and whatever. So we started going back and forth, and he agreed to come on the show. And my community was like, they were foaming at the mouth. They were like, you know, ready to attack and all things. I was like, look, I'll give the dude a platform. You know, I'll let him say what he wants to say. Then I'll, you know, kind of, you know, destroy him in some way or another. And he ended up not coming on. He kind of backed out of it. So, Jono, I'm putting it out there. If you want to come back on and debate spoofing or whatever the fuck you do now, I don't even know. You know, the door is still open. Now, right? But I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
I haven't kept up with him because it's like it reached a point where it no longer was worth the time to actually,
exactly. It was just so fucking toxic.
He was so drama
filled. And it's like
I've
had some. Yeah, there's just too much freaking drama. Too much freaking drama. But so you did GoCast last night. How did that go? I know those guys. We had Chris on the show, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago. He was a guest on our show. But how'd that go for you?
Was fun. Yeah, some interesting questions, and he kind of was diving into the history of my channel quite a bit, so that was really cool to talk about as well. But yeah, good lad. Good lad.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite podcasts at large, and definitely my favorite Pokemon Go podcast. And their show is really good. They have a very interesting approach to the game and to covering it. It's really cool. So I'm so excited that you're doing these podcasts because I think that there's a significant opportunity for crossover here, like we were talking about, because it's just 2 completely different styles of Pokemon coverage, but there's not necessarily the same parallel with the user base, but it's an interesting dynamic between the demographics of people that listen to podcasts versus people that watch content on YouTube. So I think that this is the start of a great thing.
Yeah, and a lot of our listeners play the game while listening to the podcast because it's very passive. So it's a great opportunity for the YouTubers to have a voice platform.
Hello, grinders. You could be
exactly. Clash and Cliff. I'm sure Terry Wolf and Clash and Cliff and Jersey J. I'm sure they're listening and playing.
Oh,
right
Clash
now.
and Cliff, my boy Cliff.
Yes, Cliff is an awesome member in our Discord community, and yeah, he's the real deal. We met him at GoFest last year, so it was awesome.
Yeah, I actually I had a little competition with him before, but he doesn't do YouTube, so he obviously can dedicate more time towards that grind, and he just passed me up like that. and he's like so much more ahead right now. I can never catch up to do that again.
Yeah,
so.
he's a fucking beast, man. He's pretty awesome. Every so often he'll put up some screenshots in the Discord of 20 maxed out whatevers, and it's like, god damn, fuck, shit. It's like, it's so stacked out, 10 maxed out, 100% Rayquazas. Like, god shit.
Like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, just now he just completed 3 raids and had his lucky egg on and got, like 60,000 XP just while listening to that one segment.
But no, I'm definitely excited that the YouTubers are coming on. I've also been in talks with Holly, and we're gonna get her scheduled for February as well. So it's we're gonna have Holly on, we're gonna have Zoe on. So I'm really excited to have all the tubers on. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody. But before we start getting into the news, I know we kind of started rambling. It went a little bit long. I do have a couple more little quick questions for you.
Sure.
You've always been exceptionally supportive of the YouTube community and aspiring channels. Now, that being said, you've been critical, with a no bullshit approach that, we've busted your balls on the show about because, Melissa will be like, fucking shit, like we're very vocal, we're very opinionated on this show, but you've always had this approach of being, no bullshit. You have to work hard. You have to get out there and bust your ass for better or for worse, So what you have any words for aspiring content creators, people that might be thinking about, creating a YouTube channel or covering Pokemon Go or any Pokemon game at large? Can you give any advice since you have a new platform to talk to some people that may not have heard you before?
Yeah,
what can you say?
I'm gonna bring this as what we call Dutch as I can, because the Dutch are super duper direct, right? So if you're thinking about it, just fucking do it. And then if you're uploading, upload a lot. It's really, that's the formula. Like, that's how it works. That's how YouTube algorithm picks you up. That's how you're going to be getting more eyes. So imagine this, right? Every single time you publish a video, you do a podcast, you do a whatever, a post on Instagram, Twitter, the more you post, the more eyes you're going to be getting. So it's like a numbers game. So if you don't post, if you're thinking about it, you're not in the productive phase. You're not in the phase of making it happen. So every single time people like come up to me and they ask me like, hey, yo, Raph, I want to start making this video. Do you have an idea? Yeah, don't make videos if you got no idea what you're gonna be making content about, So the biggest like tip, I guess, I can give like aspiring content creators, if you ever, if you're taking a shit, taking a shower, if you ever have an idea, grab your smartphone, write the idea down alongside with the thought process you had about the idea, like the feeling that you had. Like, hey, I want to do bunch of content regarding raids, and this is how I'm going to be formulating it. Write that shit down, put it in a notepad or stick notes somewhere that you can remember that you had that, and just execute it. I mean, a lot of people are really afraid, especially in this creative space, to fuck up and be like, oh, everybody's going to hate me. But nobody's going to hate you if you don't got viewership. Like,
yeah, exactly. Nobody's going to judge you if nobody's watching you.
Right. So it's like Rome wasn't built in a day. So like if you start off with this, like same thing as you guys at one point started with podcasting, if you look back, you sucked back in the beginning. You're always gonna suck when you start with shit.
Yep.
So just be critical of yourself and get better that way.
Yeah, we can always.
I humbly admit that I suck on multiple levels.
That's great advice, and yeah, I mean it really can be boiled down to its simplest form. Like, just do it often, do it well, and
oh man,
do it for the love.
You have no idea how tired I get of people that ask me, "Versa, can you give me a shout out?" Like, no, fucking work and show the effort, and I'll shout you out.
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. Where it's just like, that's a no bullshit approach. Like, it's, hey man, like the grind is real.
So that's why, like, YouTubers, like Holly, like, she's at the point, because at one point I took her in because I was like, hey, your content's good, just keep working on that. And look at her now, she's 100K almost. J Kim, Hybrid Mongoose, just a few people to name that I was like, these people, they put in the work and they're good at what they do. Let's just give them a chance, give them a shout out, whatever, and maybe it will change, whatever. Maybe you're gonna be, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be the next Trainer Tips. I don't know.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've always been a fan of the hunt for new content creators. I always think that's really cool. And we did like a little bit of a round table with a bunch of the New York City area YouTubers, which was great because it was like I got introduced to all these new people all at once. I went out and met with them and played with them and raided with them.
That was really fun.
Yeah, and it was like I got to catch up on all this great video content that has been out there that I knew nothing about. And I was like, this is blowing my fucking mind right now because sure, every day I come home and I get home from work, I'm going to take a shit and I'm going to watch, trainer tips. That's just like how it goes. But it blew my mind when I saw all these other content creators out there doing their thing and making it happen. It was pretty exciting. And, I love it. I love finding new talent and all that stuff. So it's inspiring that you've always kind of been supportive of that, on your channel as your channel has grown. So kudos on that as well. All right, let's fucking get into some news here. We've talked enough about our lives here. Let's break into the news because there is plenty to cover this week. It's been another fucking crazy week. Like when we recorded last week, I was going to record like a little mini bumper at the beginning of the show saying like, hey, since we recorded, Niantic, dropped a fucking news bomb that, as soon as we hit stop on our recording, they release all the news. But that's how it always rolls out. But let's break down what's going on because there's a lot. So Lunar New Year event. This is going from the 4th through the 13th. Again, we're recording this on the 10th. So by the time you hear this, it's going to be pretty much wrapping up. With this event, we have double XP for catching and evolving Pokemon. This has been
a long time coming.
Long awaited. We were talking about it before. Like this is the grinders, release of being able to just like, instead of just transferring away Pokemon, you could finally do something with it and earn on it with mass evolution parties. But we saw the increased spawns of a bunch of Chinese Zodiac Pokemon. We've got Spoink representing the pig, Rattata, Miltank, Electabuzz. I've also seen Growlithe, so there was kind of representing the tiger. People were saying Electabuzz, but I was also seeing Growlithe all over the place, so I don't know if that kind of switched.
Yeah, it definitely switched, because there were so many Growliths, and then all of a sudden...
In the beginning, right?
A ton of Electabuzz.
Dratini for the dragon, Ekans for the snake, Ponyta for horse, Mareep for the sheep, Mankey for the monkey, Torchic for the rooster, and Poochyena for the dog. So there's tons of Pokemon that have an increased spawn right now, and I think 4 or 5 of that mix can be shiny with the new inclusion of Spoink. So now Spoink is the shiny one. I don't fucking have one yet.
I don't have
I've checked
any one of those shiny fucking assholes.
Rev, how's that going?
2 of those were community days.
Rev, you have any yet, Spoink?
I got a lot of them, but none of them are shining.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
It's like this one has eluded me so far, and we even Melissa and I even went out and lured up to town tonight, and we had no luck whatsoever. It's been a pain in the ass. But one piece of new research came with this: trade 10 Pokemon with a friend, you get a Chimchar, which is kind of cool. There's an increased chance of Pokemon to be lucky from trades. The data on the event hasn't really been calculated yet. I'm sure by the time it's calculated, the event will be over. But I do want to go on a small tangent here. Silph Road put together a fantastic research bundle on the lucky trade rate. And I think there was over 9,000 trades that they recorded through their research team to kind of come up with this. And I'm not going to break this down too much, but I will link to it in the description because the long and short of it is this. They took newer Pokemon, so Pokemon that had an age of less than 1 year, and then they traded those against Pokemon in 4 different categories. Pokemon that were less than a year old, Pokemon that were a year old, 2 years old, and then Pokemon from the first month. And the chances of lucky trades, when it comes out in the wash, if the Pokemon you're trading to, the oldest one, is less than a year old, you have a 1 in 20 chance, 5%. If you're trading with a 1-year-old Pokemon, you have a 1 in 10 chance. 2-year-old Pokemon, 1 in 4 chance. And then again, besides that, guaranteed if it's the, first 10 luckies you're getting when it's really old. If you have a July or August Pokemon, you're looking at 75%. So it's a pretty significant bump when you get that old. But now's your time that you're going to want to trade as much as you possibly can because the rate is going to be higher. I don't know where it is. Melissa and I, how many trades did we do the other night? We did about, 15 or 20. We got 1 lucky. But this is the time to do that shit because there's, whenever they have an increased rate, you got to take advantage of it. The fear of missing out is real in this game, but if you have the opportunity to have this event that just runs 24 hours a day during the window, before you go to bed, just do some trades, knock that shit out, and get a good chance of getting some luckies. And having cheaply upgradable Pokemon is going to be key if you want to compete in PvP, because sinking resources into PvP Pokemon is killing people right now because they're just dry on dust. So a lucky Pokemon where you're going to have a reduced Stardust cost is going to be paramount if you're trying to build out separate parties for all the different, Silpharina, metas and all that stuff. So it's very expensive.
I realize how unlucky I've been with the July and August Pokemon. If it's 75, this is going so bad for me. You have no idea.
Yeah, a lot of my old Pokemon that I traded were not lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had much luck with that at all. But on top of the Lunar New Year event, we also have the Shiny Meltan event, and this is they just bum rushing us with information. Adam, you gonna kind of run through what we have going on here with Shiny Meltan?
Oh my God, Shiny Meltan. It's going from February 5th to March 4th, and we get Shiny Meltan in our mystery boxes, and some people open them early, and they didn't get their shinies because it was starting at 4 Eastern,
4 o'clock,
that happened
or
to
1
me.
o'clock PST.
Yeah.
But the time between boxes has been reduced, so now it's 3 days versus 7, which is a huge benefit, because now that's more Meltan, more candies, more Melmetal. Shiny version is like a more bronze color. It's got its blue tail instead of the normal red.
So I've had 2 boxes since this started.
Same.
And the first box I had 20 Meltan spawn, no shinies. And then today's box was 19 Meltan, no shinies. So I'm fucking burnt on it. But
And I had 18 and 19 for my first and second box, and no shiny Meltan.
Melissa,
I got one more day. I just checked. I just turned the game on.
Yeah,
she
got
what do you
beat.
mean?
She opened her box right before the event. It's like 7 days. Fuck.
I was like, fucker, motherfucker. And we did all those fucking trades right before the trading event started. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And we did all these old ones too. I was like, fuck you, Pokemon.
And then they have like she's saying, the Friendship mini event now. This is another event that's running concurrently with all this other stuff. This is coming from PokemonGoLive.com. The 8th through the 11th. So again, by the time this was released, this will be wrapping up. Friendship increases twice as fast, double candy for each trade, and trades cost 50% less Stardust. This is all happening right now at the same time. This is I
love it.
Can we even call it events anymore? Or is this just the norm that we're going to be faced with a barrage of shit happening from every direction? It's crazy. As a content creator, Rev, do you get burnt on just how much stuff is happening?
Oh gosh. So the other day I made this post on Twitter, and I'm gonna bring it up here. With all the stuff we've had up to this point already, and it honestly was mind-blowing. So going into 2018, we had Heatran and the Raid Boss, we had Palkia, and then Shiny Psyduck, Spoink, Phoebus, Melton, and then Swinub coming soon. We had a new wave of Sinnoh Pokemon with evolutions, with a Safari Zone, move rebalancing, and this is 4 or 5 events. I don't know about you, but I can't keep up with this. It's too much.
Yeah, it's intense.
Exactly, dude.
I also want to add onto this though, the double candy for each trade. That's broken. That is so powerful right now with the double experience event. If you have a Pokemon 100 kilometers away, you get 6 candy. If you do that twice, you can evolve a Pidgey into a Pidgeotto.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those Pidgeys, you got to evolve them.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of these little micro metas where if you really pay attention to the details, you can really exploit the shit out of all this stuff happening concurrently. And it's why not? You got to maximize it, as best you possibly can. Resources are so limited. So
welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly, man. I can imagine that, and that's why these high-level players are high-level players, because they're, they
play this game at a different level.
Maximize it. Yeah, I don't know if I would be able to keep up with Cliff or even Terry, man. These guys are freaking nuts.
He'd be like, "What? You want to stop and get something to eat? No, you need to grind.
No food for you.
No soup for you.
You hold in your pee."
Yeah, we're not stopping for a restroom. You pee in the Gatorade bottle. Let's go.
No, you're peeing and you're completing your quest in the meantime while peeing.
All right, this is something I want to start doing on a weekly basis here. So typically, the news that we provide on this show is sourced from the Silph Road or Pokemon Go Hub or Game Press, and sometimes, different news outlets that pick stuff up, comicbook.com, whatever. But something I want to start doing is featuring a different YouTuber every week that is delivering news in a very clean and efficient way. So rather than talk about these big sites that everybody's going to, I want to start featuring some YouTubers. So today I want to give a shout out to JT Valor. I really like JT Valor's content. It has a high production value. The passion that he has for the game really is evident with the way he talks about it. And he delivers the news very eloquently, and he speaks very articulately. So I appreciate that. As an old fogey, it's just like, if you can speak well and deliver the message the right way, I'm fucking in. So JT Valor put out a video talking about Niantic teasing Smeargle. So this is kind of like a little bit of a tinfoil hat situation here. But it started with a press image of Spoink, and there was a splatter of green paint behind it. Then yesterday, they updated their Twitter banner to have green splatter paint behind it. And then today, they update their Facebook assets to have green paint. Now,
see, I thought Splatoon took over.
That's what this is probably going to be. And everyone that's like, crying for Smeargle is going to be so fucking pissed. But, if this is Smeargle, this is awesome. This is a cool way to kind of tease it and lead up to it. The assets have been there. It's like, could this have something to do leading into Easter? I don't know, but there's definitely something brewing. I don't know. What do you, Adam? You're thinking this is Splatoon?
Yeah, 100%.
No.
It's definitely Smeargle. It definitely is.
You think so?
And you just said Easter, and I'm literally just picturing my entire opening the Pokemon Go app and just having Baneri after Baneri after Baneri, and I'm like,
no, they better not be. They need to do Chansey. If they don't do Chansey, I swear to God, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Melissa wants Chansey so bad.
Chansey Baneri, Shiny's confirmed.
I genuinely believe it's not gonna be Chansey, and I have a good reason as to why.
Break my heart.
Last year we had Lufdisk, and that turned out to be gold. So I feel that's going to be Lickitung, because Lickitung also is gold. But that's just like might be a bit far-fetched. I don't know.
That's a tinfoil hat.
But if you remember when Andrew Goldfarb went to Niantic, and then he kind of put out that video showing PvP, and they showed like Garchomp, and we saw Smeargle in action in PvP. So the model's there, man. The assets are there. I just think that if it is in fact Smeargle, this is a really cool outside of the box way to kind of tease it. They've been doing stuff like with the Lunar New Year. They kind of had this little back and forth banter with the Pokemon Company on Twitter before leading into their announcement. So I don't know. Could be a trick up their sleeve. I hope it's Smeargle. I don't know. We'll have to follow this, in the coming weeks.
And also too, if I can, I want to give an extra shout out to JT Valor, which you talked about just now, because did you know that JT Valor actually went from being very chubby to slim as he is right now, thanks to Pokemon Go?
That's actually how I originally had found him, was through that series of him chronicling the process, which I thought was really freaking cool,
amazing.
Man. And those before and after photos are like, holy shit.
I genuinely thought it was worth mentioning, because like, legit cool kid. He deserves to, be recognized as much as the others do.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know that he's buddies with Kyler. We've had Kyler on the show, and that whole crew is really cool. They're good peoples, definitely good peoples.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get into our nerd segment of the day. That we're gonna get into our PvP update. This PvP update is brought to you by the New Jersey Silph Arena, Jersey's premier accredited Silph Arena league. Visit njsilpharena.com for more info. Once you step in the arena, cheetah, you're gonna be a... All right, I want to talk fairies.
Hey, did you just call me a fairy?
Yes, Pokemon Go Hub put out a fantastic article about the place that fairy Pokemon have in the PvP meta. Now, we covered dragons.
Have no
we
place.
Talked about... Dude, it's coming. It's coming. We got to prepare.
We need that fast move.
There is still no fairy fast move, but fairy does have some advantages to not having a fairy fast move if you can break the mold of being so reliant and dependent on stab. So
hold up. You got hidden power, which can be a fairy move technically.
who can get hidden power now.
But that would be hard. I think you can get it on...
Oh, shit. I wonder if that's in the game.
It is. It is. I've had a Suicune with
fairy hidden power?
Hidden power before, yeah.
And what fairy-type Pokemon can learn hidden power?
I think Togepi can learn hidden power, but I'm not sure if it can be fairy.
Oh, this is a good one, man. We got to figure that out. That's something to definitely look into. Because in this Pokemon Go Hub article, they do a... Togetic can learn hidden power. Holy shit. All right, we got to start experimenting here. Community, we need to try this. Let's put together some data. Start blowing all of your fast TMs on Togetic and see if you can get hidden power with Fairy. Says,
all right, I'm on it.
They haven't, that's pretty awesome. That'd be pretty awesome. But anyway, there is no fast move, so my guess is that when Routes Community Day comes around, that we'll finally get a Fairy fast move, which will, make things a little bit more balanced. But because there is no fast move, you can put a little bit more emphasis on move coverage and use your Fairy-type Pokemon as a supporting role, because typically they're going to be a little bit more defensive, have a little bit more tankiness, and then you could use the fast move to your advantage to provide coverage on their off-types. So let's talk about this. Fairy is effective against Fighting, Dragon, and Dark. So you're going to want to find that coverage strictly from the fast move pool. You're always going to want to go with the Fairy Charge move. They're weak to Poison and Steel. So when you're going up against a poison Pokemon, you're going to want to look for psychic moves. Togetic, Clefable, Gardevoir can all get psychic fast moves. So you can get coverage against your poison weakness with psychic. As far as Steel is concerned, same thing. Azumarill, Togekiss can both learn moves that will balance their coverage. Azumarill can learn Rock Smash. Togekiss can learn Fire Blast as a charge move. So, it's like you can balance yourself out and having increased coverage where you're using your Fairy Pokemon as a kind of support defensive mode more so than an attacker. Like maybe you reserve the use of your shields for your Fairy Pokemon, so that way a lot of the brunt of attacks and the brunt of damage output from your opponent is going to kind of be, sucked away and tanked by your Fairy Pokemon. But what GoHub did was they put together the best Fairy Pokemon in each of the leagues. This is what we talked about Dragon Pokemon last time, and we were blown away that Alolan Executor was, pretty much at the top of the list for Great and Ultra. But you see a little bit of diversity here. Now, I've been a part of the UPPL. This is the United Pokemon Podcasters League. This is the Pokemon Showdown tournament that we're doing between a bunch of the podcast hosts across the Pokemon spectrum. And have learned a ton over the past couple of weeks about how VGC works, how draft battles work, but learning how IV spreads in the main series games really work from a competitive perspective. So, when I'm building my Pokemon Showdown team, you have the ability to manipulate your Pokemon's IV spread completely. Now, Smogon.com puts together these, fantastic simulations that are going to tell you what the best spread is, and I pretty much go, word for word with what Smogon tells me to do. But with Pokemon Go, we don't have that luxury of manipulating IVs. What you see is what you get. But the data miners at GoHub were able to put together these parties based on not only the most efficient typing and move coverage, but also IV spread. And this is where things get pretty technical, because IVs are not an overt stat in Pokemon Go. They're a hidden stat. How do you feel about that, Reversal? Does that bug you that IVs aren't just kind of like given to you?
It's kind of a mixture, I feel. I personally, it doesn't really bother me that much, because whenever I select Pokemon, I kind of know them well. So that is one thing. And at the same time, I also kind of feel that IVs don't matter that much in trainer battles.
They really don't. And it's like the system is a little weird, where you actually would want a shittier IV spread to kind of manipulate the fact that you can tuck Pokemon into Great League at a higher level if they have like a lower attack stat, because there's so much weighting of the attack stat in the CP formula. So there's definitely ways around it, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here is I was very appreciative of, in this GoHub article, they actually give you the IV spread and tell you how to maximize each Pokemon. And this is like meta within a meta of, hardcore shit. This analysis is typically only something you see on the VGC side. So it's very, very inviting and very welcoming to see this level of depth come to PvP. Now, I love the PvP element of Pokemon Go, so I'm a huge, fan of it. I'm running a Silph Road a Silpharina League in my, for 3 separate communities in New Jersey. Like, I'm all about it. And the fact that this is just getting deeper and deeper and the analysis of it is getting deeper is a great sign for where this is going. But if you look at some of these IV spreads, you'll see that in the Great League, all the Pokemon that they run have attack IVs of 10. Now, in the normal scenario of running gyms or raids, like, you don't want, you're just looking for that 15 attack. So this is kind of it's a complete paradigm shift, and I appreciate that they kind of broke into this. But I'm just going to run through the top Pokemon in each of the leagues. Not going to go into too much detail of their moveset because they detail it here. I'll put the link in the description. But just so you have an idea of the fairies that are going to be standouts in each league. Here we go. Great League. Azumarill, Wigglytuff, Togetic. Azumarill has been dominant, and it's going to definitely be able to be used in the Twilight Cup coming up in February. Ultra League. Clefable, Togekiss, Gardevoir. Master League, Togekiss, Gardevoir, Clefable. So again, depending on where they are in their IV spread and what level you can bring them up to keep them under their CP caps per league, there's not a lot of fairies in the game, but we're seeing some standouts here. And, I know Melissa's excited because she's a huge Clefable fan, but I like seeing diversity in Pokemon. Like, I love it. I love when there's opportunities to use Pokemon that you normally wouldn't use. Like, even Gardevoir, badass fucking Pokemon, you don't really use it as a raid attacker, you know what I mean? So giving it an opportunity to kind of shine in the Ultra League and the Master League, I'm all for it. So get your fairies ready. If you're part of our Discord, we're going to do our themed little PvP battles for the month, is we're going to be putting together some fairy parties to beat each other up with. So if you want to get involved with that, check out our Patreon. All right, we're going to skip the email section this week. Pidgey Rabbit will gets your email next week. He had emailed talking about Pokemon and esports, kind of bouncing off the conversation we had last week. And we're also going to skip the battle party because we're getting a little long here. There's just a couple bits of miscellaneous news I do want to cover before we wrap things up. I want to talk about this tweet. So I put a tweet together that ended up getting a significant amount of engagement online, and I'll link to it. I was seeing these rankings of YouTubers kind of pop up online and breaking down like YouTube growth patterns and viewership and all this stuff, right? All this like really nerdy data. And at first I was like, wow, this is fucking interesting that they're making a meta out of this. Like they're kind of gamifying this whole thing. And then I kind of thought to myself, like, this is kind of weird. Like I didn't know how I felt about it. I was kind of taken back that we were kind of treating the YouTubers like Pokemon. It's like, do we really want?
Yeah, right.
I was like, they're stacking them up against each other.
Yeah, which one has the highest IV?
I was like, this data is important from a marketing perspective, from a promotional perspective. This doesn't necessarily need to be overt data. Public. This doesn't need to be out and, airing out people's stuff. It's like, it's just kind of weird to me. So I put together this tweet. This is what it read. It says, with a ton of rankings and lists flying around the Pokemon Go content creator community that boast big numbers and growth metrics, make sure you remember, if you're interested in making content, your passion for the project is the most important metric to keep track of. And I was like, wow, that kind of sums up exactly how I feel about the scenario, because it was kind of weird that we were objectifying the YouTubers a little bit. And I want to get your take on that, man. Like, did that seem weird to you?
Man, the only thing I can think about right now is a trainer throwing a Pokeball and a Mystic 7 comes out and he says, Mystic 7, Mystic 7. I don't know.
It's the wrong type. It's not wrong.
I mean, it's nothing we're not used to. We're always being used to being compared, like, hey, this YouTuber's doing this a little bit better. And that's why it's so great, I feel, at the same time as well, because, diversity, knowing that there's a group of people out there, is just motivating for, like, YouTubers with less subscribers. I think that, it helps them get motivated and be like, hey, I want to become part of that group. I actually want to be within these rankings or what have you. It's healthy, it's competitive, and, at the same time, I feel Pokemon Go needs something like that as well. But yeah, I have no problems with it. I genuinely feel it's a good thing that people like comparing one another, because if a tweet goes viral, it gives everybody exposure, which is great. But on the same side, maybe someone else is going to be like, oh, I didn't know about this particular YouTuber or content creator or whatever it is that the person is doing. So I can only realistically see positives about that.
Okay, no, that's great perspective. And, it's kind of, interesting to me because I don't know, when I first saw it, I was like, this is kind of weird. It kind of feels like 5th grade when you like rate the cute girls in your class, like who's the cutest, you know. I was like, I don't know how I feel about all this, man. It was kind of weird, but that's an interesting take, an interesting perspective. But yeah, I agree though. Getting your name out in front of someone in any capacity or at any opportunity is an opportunity worth, you know, embracing, I guess, because, you know, just getting in front of people is key. Exactly.
I think it really helps that, you know, the YouTubers in the Pokemon Go space and what you guys do as well with podcasts. You guys are shouting each other out. You guys are engaging with one another. You guys are listening to one another. We're all friendly. Whereas in other communities, and just to name a few, for example, Fortnite, League of Legends, you know, all sorts of communities, it is not as friendly as it is with Pokemon Go, which is kind of goes to show how mature the audiences are, how mature in that aspect the content creators are. And I think in overall that's a really healthy and good thing. Like, there's no bad blood between content creators. Maybe
it's powerful, you know, to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, some obviously, you know, there are some people that are like, oh, I don't like spoofing this and that, but that's an entire different ballgame. Like, this, as we talk about Pokemon Go, the way it is intended, the way it is being played, the way it is being documented, all we can do is encourage one another if something amazing happens for that other creator.
That's great. No, that's the positivity that is exactly what I'm talking about, because it's natural and organic when you talk about Pokemon at large. The pillars of Pokemon's professor program, the pillars of what Pokemon, the lessons and morals that they got, you know, were getting across in the anime in the beginning. You know, it's really all about this sense of community and love and caring and like all that kind of cliche sounding shit. But when it comes down to it, it's all positive. Like, why not be a part of that? You know what I mean? So it's very, very encouraging to hear that and inspiring to hear that, because that's exactly how the Pokemon Go podcast community is. You know, last year at GoFest, we did a meetup where all the podcasts got together and all the fans came out and we all met in one spot.
That was
together.
my absolute favorite
awesome.
Part of GoFest.
It was absolutely awesome. And, you know, we all kind of do the same thing. And I said it last week. I said, you know, when the tide rises, all the boats get lifted. You know, it's what's good for one of us is good for all of us. It's all good. So that's very encouraging to hear. That's great perspective, man. Thank you. Let's see what else we got here miscellaneous before we wrap up. A new wave of EX passes went out February 14th and 15th. We got one for Valentine's Day, the 14th. So we'll be hitting that up, Attack Form Deoxys. You can still, even with the rebalance, you could still solo it if you're, you know, if you've got a good party. Now, I do want to follow up on that raid boss rebalancing. A lot of people are like really bent out of shape, saying that they kind of screwed the, you know, solo raid gang and all that kind of thing. So prior to the super effective damage buff that came in December, we saw that buff was about a 14% increase. So our super effective moves became 14% more effective, you know? So when we were going up against raid bosses and we're using exclusively super effective moves, they were 14% easier. That's why, you know, in windy weather, if it wasn't Stone Edge, you could take down a Tyranitar by yourself and all that kind of stuff. It was great while it lasted. So when the raid balance came, they increased tier 3, 4, and 5 by about 20%. So right now, when you take the super effective modifier balance into account here, the current tier 3, 4, and 5 raid bosses are 6% more difficult than they were before. So are they harder? Yes. Are they 20% harder? No, they're just 6% harder. So if
maximum hardness.
Maximum hardness. So this is an opportunity for us to all get re-challenged again. So yeah, Alakazam was like a go-to great challenging solo raid, and you know, people were complaining, oh, I don't know if I could do it now. Like, look, you just got to get 6% more efficient. So that's really where it is. So I don't want people to get discouraged if they were into solo raids or started getting into solo raids, because typically at the end of every show we put together a battle party of you know, a specific battle party for. Sometimes we go after solo raiding. So you just need 6% more effectiveness in these raids.
Can I be a bit of a prick here, or a little bit of a dick, actually?
Yes.
Just be straightforward and bring out the Dutch directness. I mean, here's the thing, right? With a game of this size, Pokemon Go, like, here's what a lot of people don't understand. They and rightfully so, people always turn things towards what they experience in their way. So suddenly you take away candy from them. You know, the candy being, hey, I can solo this Pokemon so you can. They start crying about it. And then, like, you know, Pokemon Go makes these changes for a reason. Like, if they make that sort of a change, it's for the better of the game, because, I mean, they don't just like, hey, you know, we're just gonna increase the amount of time it takes to take down the raid boss just to fuck it with that particular group of people. Like, that's not the case. So, like,
no,
I'm
sure it's pretty calculated here.
Yeah, so, I mean, there will definitely be opportunities to take down these Pokemon again. I mean, Pokemon will be getting stronger eventually. But, I mean, these Pokemon, usually if you were able to solo them, you know, for the general public, they weren't meant to be soloed in the first place.
And especially when it comes to these tier 4s, I mean, Niantic came straight out and said it, like, look, you know, trainers were defeating them with solo. This wasn't the original intent. So it's not that you're, you know, just a fantastic trainer. Sorry. It's just that, yeah, the stats didn't line up. So, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that are going to still pull shit out of their ass and still be able to do some of these really amazing feats, you know, soloing tier 4s and stuff like that. But, you know, Melissa and I did a Alolan Marowak today, and it was a pain in the ass, you know? So it's like, it's good to be challenged.
Obviously, though, like, a lot of respect for all the solo raiders out there. What they're doing is amazing, but, like, you know, these changes will happen, and they happened, and they will happen in the future as well. Like, don't be surprised if Niantic is putting another, like, 180 on everybody again. I mean, take a look what happened to Chansey and Blissey, and so many people were upset, and now people started to, you know, be like, you know what, it's not that bad after all.
But it just makes you a better trainer because you could adapt and you become more fluid, and, you know, it shows that you can be flexible with your training styles. And I think that that's an important, you know, asset to have if you're looking to be, you know, an elite player. So
exactly.
Cool. There is a new box sale that's kind of gone around with the Lunar event. The Ultra Box is really the only one you really want to spend anything on. It's a 74% discount. Favoring raiders and grinders this time around. 12 premium raid passes, 10 super incubators, 8 lucky eggs, 8 star pieces. I dig this box. I haven't bought a box since the last egg event, and I've kind of held out, and I'll finally pick this box up because I need some freaking incubators. Oh, Melissa had a good hatch today. What'd you hatch? You had some Bonsly today.
I did.
Yeah, you hatched a Bonsly?
I did.
I still need that Mantike.
Yeah, I still need the Mantike as well. I still need that, but yeah, the other boxes aren't really worth their weight too much. So stick to the Ultra if you're going to buy anything with this. I'm sure there's going to be a Community Day box coming up as well. All right, let's go into our Go Ranger check-in. One last thing before we wrap up.
What's up, everybody? It is Go Ranger Matt, and this is the Go Ranger check-in.
Okay, Friendship Weekend, Lunar New Year event, just wrapping up by the time you guys hear this. We have until the end of the month for spin to number 5. Adam, did you find one yet?
Yes, I found like 3.
Okay, good. Good. Research to help with Let's Go Meltan special research. That's still going to be wrapping up. I know Melissa's still working on some of that stuff. The research breakthrough rotation, that'll be happening at the end of the month too. So pretty much at the end of the month is what we are going to be waiting for. Shiny Meltan gives you a couple extra days till March 4th. That's it, y'all. That is going to wrap up the news. Reversal, Geo, thank you so freaking much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I gotta say, man, it's been a lot of fun, and all the shit that we might have given you in the past, I think I'll take it all back. You're a pretty fucking awesome dude, man. I really do.
Thank you so much, man. You know,
it's so cool.
It's the direct Dutchness, man, that always like nags me, because I'm very often misunderstood. And, you know, at the end of the day, if people treat me with the same respect as they would treat anybody else, you know, I can be a very nice guy. And, like, sometimes I do mess up, and, you know,
you're human.
Know it all comes from a heart. Yeah, it all comes from a good place at the end of the day. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Melissa and I are from Jersey, so we're no bullshit approach as well. So we can appreciate the Dutch.
Yeah, I'm rough around the edges, to say the
And
least.
I'm all the way up in New Hampshire, so I'm pretty laid back and nice, you know.
He's so sweet.
He's chilling with the mooses.
Need some balance.
But I'm gonna link up Reversal. All his locations, everywhere you can find him, will be in the description. Reversal, you got any last things you want to wrap up and say? Where can we find you? Where can everyone check you out?
Don't spoof to my location. It was great to be invited. Thank you guys so much for reaching out to me. I really appreciate it. And everybody who's listening up to this point, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to what we have to say. Obviously, it goes a very long way. Support these guys. If you came down from my channel, obviously, I'm going to give you guys a little shout out. Definitely check out what they do from a day-to-day basis, or from week-to-week basis, right?
Yes.
And yeah, let's do this again sometime. This was really cool.
Yeah,
definitely.
Hell yeah, we're definitely. I want to get a lot of the YouTubers in one spot. Maybe we'll do a big video Google Hangout or something like that. Everyone can have their own little take on the content. That'd be kind of cool.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, everyone. That's going to wrap up the show. Please leave us a review in iTunes. Check out our Patreon. Email us, info@luredup.com, and then check out luredup.com for everything that we're doing. We do have a voicemail line. We did get a voicemail this week. Terry Wolf did leave us a voicemail. Again, I'm going to hold that one until next week because I think it'll be a little bit more relevant when we can go into a further conversation about the ridiculous Discord conversation we had at 2 in the morning the other day.
Golden Red.
So I'll hold off on that. But if you want to leave us a drunk or inappropriate voicemail, please give us a call, 732-835-8639. We hope to hear from you guys soon. And that's going to wrap up the show. That's it. Later, trainers.